Thank you all for joining. We are so excited to have folks from Queenwood School with us here today to hear a bit about our Oxford Academia program. My name is Becca Shumlin. I am the Director of Putney Student Travel and Oxford Academia, which I direct with my sister Olivia Shumlin. Over the course of the next 30 minutes or so, we will tell you a bit about our history and about our Oxford Academia founding director and collaborator, Professor James Basker. And we'll go more in depth into the Oxford program, its structure, academics, the fantastic and inspiring staff and faculty who make it truly spectacular and what sets us apart. And throughout the webinar and at the end, we would be happy to answer any questions you may have. So please, you can type your questions into the Q&A chat function at the bottom of the screen, and we'll be answering those in the Q&A chat throughout the presentation, and then we'll save some to answer live at the very end. And you're also always welcome to give us a call at our office anytime, or to set up a call with myself or one of my colleagues to learn more. We are recording this, and we will be sending out the recording in the coming days so that you can share it with anyone who was unable to attend today. And today I am also joined by our good friend Jim Seha, who is an esteemed educator and previously served as director of Brisbane Girls Grammar School, just one of his many accolades. And Jim also has direct experience on the Oxford Summer Program and was one of its Dean of Students. And he was kind enough to connect us and the program with the wonderful Queenwood School. Jim, do you want to just briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I've been working in the independent school system for over 30 years. 16, possibly almost 17 at Ipswich Boys Grammar School, and then another 16 at Brisbane Girls Grammar School, where I introduced the Oxford Academia program to the students of that school. I was so impressed with the process of application and the information that came from Oxford Academia that when I met Jim Basker, I suggested that I might like to come and join the teacher program, which was running at the time. So I went and actually had a teacher's experience with Oxford Academia, and then was hired as a dean of students on site at Oxford in Corpus Christi College, which Becca will mention more about a little bit later. Uh, Impressive, absolutely impressive academically, but also in the pastoral care sphere, which was because of, well, for any student, for any child or young person, that's probably the first concern of any parent is, how safe will they be, and what sort of care and what sort of supervision is there. So I can attest to the fact, because it was me for I think there were about 90 boys in my dormitory. And there's great care taken by Oxford Academia to ensure that students are safe and have a positive academic experience. So I was thrilled when Jim asked me if would I represent Oxford Academia in Australia, because I'm a believer. I believe in experiential education, and I certainly believe in Oxford Academia and the quality of education that it offers. Done.
Great. Thank you so much, Jim. Um, and we are also joined by my colleague Andrew Manzella, who is a director here at Oxford Academia. And you'll be hearing from both of them a little bit later. So I'm going to start by telling you a bit about who we are and where we come from. And as Jim mentioned, our Oxford Academia programs were created as a collaboration between Professor James Basker and Putney Student Travel. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see that Putney Student Travel was founded by my grandparents, pictured there on the left, George and Kitty Shumlin, in 1951. And we are a family-run organization. My sister Olivia and I represent the third generation of Shumlin family co-directors. And this is a really exciting year as we are headed into our 75th summer. So for 75 years, Putney has been a leader in student education, offering innovative summer programs that take middle and high school students around the world for genuine immersion in local cultures and communities and areas of interest across a variety of focus areas, including service, language, exploration, career, and academia. And for 7.5 decades, students have found their lives really changed by these experiences, whether it be through Putney's small group travel trips or Oxford Academia's university-based academic programs. But it all started with our grandparents. George there was a teacher and a World War II vet. And my grandmother Kitty, who is Dutch, grew up in occupied Holland, and she was also an educator. And they met when George was traveling one summer during his late education on the GI Bill. After World War II, they fell in love on a ship crossing. And then in 1951, they were both high school teachers, and they had this radical idea to bring a group of young students over to Western Europe for the summer. And the whole idea behind this kind of initial voyage was very much a response to the post-conflict world. And they really saw this as the way to help build common ground and develop thoughtful and well-rounded young leaders. So our grandparents traveled over to Europe by steamship because this was before commercial air travel. With 16 students in tow, it took over 10 days to travel over there and then 10 days to travel back. And occasionally they sent word home to the families via Western Union telegram. And this was the original Putney trip. And they really believed and quickly found true that by ushering students out of their comfort zones, unifying people from all walks of life through face-to-face interaction, and by giving the students the opportunity to learn and to grow and collaborate across lines of difference, all while keeping them safe, that it would have a transformative impact on generations and ultimately help them contribute to a more peaceful society. And so it's this foundational mission that has grown significantly, particularly in the time that we find ourselves today. And under the leadership of my grandparents, and then several decades of our dad and uncle, the mission expanded through various types of programs all over the world, including academic programs in Oxford, which they ran for many years under the Putney name. And then more recently, our Oxford programs were sort of reborn as Oxford Academia from that passion for academic discovery and belief in the transformative power of immersive education. And if we go to the next slide, so as I mentioned earlier, Oxford Academia programs are designed and were started in collaboration with Professor James Basker, who is our sort of distinguished co-founder and academic director, and he's an esteemed scholar, writer, and educational leader. Professor Basker grew up in a small lumber town in Oregon and made his way to Harvard for his undergrad on scholarship. And then after his BA at Harvard, he then got his MA at Cambridge, and then he went on to do his doctorate on a Rhodes Scholarship at Oxford. And it was Oxford where the magic really came alive for him. What he loved so much about Oxford was the tutorial system, the one-on-one instruction with these brilliant academics that he felt he never really got at Harvard or anywhere else, only at Oxford. And he won't tell you this, but I will tell you, he ended up wishing that he had gone to Oxford all along. And he went on to devote his entire life to academia, and so much of it is rooted in this Oxford experience. So Jim became a renowned author and scholar and educational leader. He has taught at Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, and more. And for the past 30 plus years, he's been professor of literary history at Barnard and Columbia University. And then since 1997, I believe, he's also served as the president and CEO of the Gilder Lehrman Institute in New York City, which supports history and civics education across the US and abroad. And Professor Basker was both a Rhodes Scholar himself, and for nearly 40 years, he has served on the board of the Association of American Rhodes Scholars. So he helps select and mentor Rhodes Scholars. And in addition to all of this, about a half a century ago, Professor Basker pioneered the original high school summer program at Oxford University nearly 40 years ago. And before that, high school age students were not commonly invited to study at Oxford colleges. The Oxford experience was remarkably inaccessible to that age group. And yet today, there are many, many summer programs in Oxford. But if you really look at them, you'll find that they're all kind of trying to emulate what Professor Basker originally created at Oxford. And that original program that he founded in the 80s was called Oxbridge. And he ran it for years to huge success. And then after some time, he found that the summer program was taking up so much of his time. His colleagues at Gilder Lehrman and Columbia were kind of wanting him to devote more of his time to them. And so he transferred the ownership of this program to an outside organization, a much bigger organization. And sometime after that, he distanced himself a little because he just felt that the educational quality was not really his original vision. So he hasn't really had anything to do with it since with that particular program for quite some time. But his original goal was really to provide this age group with a taste of small seminars and tutorials taught by and surrounded by the world's most incredible academics that really allowed him to flourish as a young Rhodes Scholar in Oxford, which he credits as shaping his entire lifelong educational journey. And we at Putney have always had great admiration and respect for Professor Basker, and what he originally created in Oxford and he for us. And so some years ago, he was kind of missing working with the high school age group tremendously and got back in touch with us. And together we created the Oxford Academia programs, which were really built to embody his original founding mission. And if you go to the next slide, so Professor Basker's life passion is really in introducing students to the Oxford academic world in hopes that they may be inspired by the university, by its people, its history and magic, and perhaps influence and shape their own educational journey. So through his work selecting and mentoring countless Rhodes Scholars and all of his contacts in Oxford and elsewhere, he really brings to these programs a network that includes a select and distinguished group of academic leaders and scholars, and his kind of unrivaled experience and relationship with these professors and researchers and his connections, and his enduring kind of dedication to education really make Oxford Academia an unparalleled, remarkable educational opportunity. And so Professor Basker joins our Oxford program in the summer as its academic director, and he truly loves nothing more than engaging with our students, building close relationships, and going on to serve as a mentor throughout those students' future endeavors and educational journeys. He also loves to do a series of evening speaking events and lectures, and offers fascinating walking tours for parents on arrival and departure days and for students during the program whenever they ask, where he will kind of showcase his mind-blowing, storied knowledge of the history and secrets behind every inch of the city of Oxford and the university and each of its colleges. He also loves to organize picnic lunches in the Christchurch Meadow for students who wish to join him kind of in between their seminars, where he's known to provide expert guidance on the college admissions process or advice on students' individual academic pursuits. He's really quite extraordinary. And if we go to the next one. So Oxford Academia welcomes high school students who are currently enrolled in grades 9 through 12. And we also accept a small number of very motivated, high-achieving current 8th graders. And this program provides an immersive student experience that is authentic and unique to Oxford University and its culture, allowing our students to experience life just as an Oxford student would. And we offer 3 two-week sessions, so 3 sets of dates that run back to back. And we've intentionally structured the dates to allow for flexibility and the option to combine them into a 4-week experience. And students on the program, when they're enrolling, they choose a major seminar and a minor seminar and dive deep into those academic subjects. So the majors meet 6 days a week and the minors meet 3 days a week. And these programs are designed for really academically motivated high school students, and they bring together a world-class faculty, dynamic student group, and incredible learning experiences. And we should also mention that we also offered a more in-depth 4-week Oxford option, as well as an option in Oxford for middle school age students. And then aside from our Oxford programs, Oxford Academia also offers programs at the American University of Paris and Yale, as well as the University of Siena in Italy and Temple University in Japan, and the ESADE Business School in Barcelona, all of which can be combined with each other and with Oxford to kind of mix and match your summer. And if we move on to the next, so our philosophy is to fully immerse students in the rich Oxonian culture, tradition, and the history of the University of Oxford, known for being one of the world's oldest and most prestigious historic universities. So Oxford University is not just one college, as it is often thought. It is actually comprised of 39 individual constituent colleges, each operating as their own independent institution within the wider Oxford University. And we and our students are lucky to call 2 of these 39 exclusive Oxford colleges, really 2 of the best Oxford colleges, our home in the summertime, living in the dormitories, eating in the dining halls, and learning at 2 of Oxford's oldest, most idyllic Harry Potter-like colleges. And this is really a remarkable privilege, as each of Oxford colleges are literally walled off and enclosed off from the public and kind of from the bustling city streets, by these big medieval walls. And they're accessible only by a single entrance gate called the Porter's Lodge that is managed 24/7 by a team of college porters. And so most visitors, if they visit the city of Oxford, they don't really get the opportunity to go kind of behind the walls into the college and see the glorious kind of expansive universe that is hiding behind those walls. And while its exact founding date is unknown, the teaching in Oxford is recorded as early as 1096, making it the oldest university in the English-speaking world. And the very first Oxford colleges, University College, which is not to be confused with the University of Oxford, University College, which people call UNIV, was founded in 1249, and it's the oldest college at Oxford, and it is one of our residential colleges during the program, which is pretty cool. And then our other residential college is Corpus Christi, which is just next door, a couple minutes walk down a quiet, historic cobblestone street, which is Merton Street. And Corpus Christi was established in 1517. It offers a very intimate setting with one of the university's oldest libraries and views over Christchurch Meadow. It's beautiful. And we're lucky to have Corpus Christi all to ourselves, so we are the only program there. And so this experience really fosters a very deep connection to the university and the city itself, kind of bringing the spirit of Oxford to life in a way that very few summer programs can offer. And the student dorms are a mix of singles and doubles. And students, it's the same rooms that students use during the school year. Within the dorms, room allocations are segregated by gender identity, so that the male and female students reside separately, and then the staff reside in the dorms with the students. And students' classes are held at their residential college. Their major is always at their residential college, but their minor may be held at either one. So some students are lucky enough to be able to study at both UNIV and Corpus during their time on the program. And breakfast and dinner are taken in the college's gorgeous storied dining halls, and we occasionally go out to dinner in small groups as well. And if we move to the next, so Our philosophy and sort of intention behind this program is really rooted in a commitment to an unparalleled academic excellence, access to superior educators and industry leaders, renowned experts, and individualized student support and exceptional residential life. And we really have an emphasis on student growth and building relationships that last long after the students have returned home. Our student body is quite global, representing countries from all over the world. Many of our students come from all over the United States, and then we also have some students from Europe, Spain, France, and the UK, South America, Australia, China, India, Japan, and more. And so our students are meeting people from all over the world and together working together to create an inclusive environment and creating a space for a positive transformational experience with people who share that same passion. And the typical Oxford student is someone who is curious, an enthusiastic learner, and is really excited by the idea of challenging themselves to get the most out of this academic experience and is really eager to take advantage of the breadth of opportunities available to them each day, from seminars and workshops to community activities and extracurricular events. And in addition to the rich kind of academics of the program, our philosophy is to fully immerse students in the Oxford culture as we take full advantage of all of the incredible opportunities in Oxford and its surrounding communities and spaces. And we really want our students to be excited by that idea. The students who come on this program are really looking to gain, they're really, they want to gain something from an experience and are very serious about actively participating in all aspects of the program in order to further themselves academically and connect with motivated peers, meet new people, build new relationships, and to contribute in a positive way to the vibrant and supportive community that we cultivate and set themselves on a course for future success and exploration. And I'll talk a little bit about our seminars. So Oxford Academia enables students to pursue their interests and prepare for their future through engaging seminars in a wide range of foundational and kind of cutting edge fields. Our seminars challenge and inspire blending rigorous academic study with cultural exploration through workshops, excursions, and vibrant local experiences. And they're taught by these esteemed academic faculty. Seminars really help students explore the disciplines deeply, both in their major and their minor seminar. And here is a list of all the seminars that are offered on Oxford Academia this summer. At the time of applying, students will select a major and a minor seminar. And with few exceptions, all of these that you see here are offered both as majors and minors. And again, the majors meet 6 days a week for 3 hours in the morning, including Saturdays. And the minors meet 3 days a week for 2 hours in the afternoons. And we deliberately keep the seminars small, typically 10 to 14 students, so that the faculty get to quickly know each individual student in the course and they're able to address specific questions and the motivations that they come with. And depending on the seminar, you can expect to start with an overview, vocabulary, basic concepts, but then quickly dive in. So we have discussions and debates, insightful lectures, and group work. And all of those things are key components of the classroom learning experience. And then the seminars are also very field-based. So while we do spend some time in the historic classrooms at our colleges, faculty also take students out to really use the resources that are available in the city. Visits to museums, laboratories, galleries, that is all included as part of the curriculum. And the students in their seminars are all working towards some sort of final project or presentation, and the resulting projects of the major classes will be shared with the wider program community at the final night celebration. And as you look at seminars, we recommend that when trying to choose a seminar, you pick the subject the first one that pops out that excites you the most and that you really hope to dive the deepest into as your major, and then perhaps explore something entirely different and new to you, but that intrigues you as your minor. And our teachers are really excited about learning, and it is contagious. So their teaching is imaginative, experimental, and it's very much student-centered, and the learning is immersive. So in order to kind of paint a better picture of the seminar experience, I'll quickly go through just a couple seminars a little bit more in depth. So the engineering and innovation seminar is taught by an Oxford doctoral candidate, David Ritz, and it aims to help students understand the different roles engineers play in the industry and to develop their analytical skills for solving technical problems. So the seminar usually begins with an introduction to different engineering disciplines, civic, biomedical, and mechanical. And then once kind of a general understanding is established, they dive into real-world applications, looking at the work and research that is being done in labs across Oxford, such as the Oxford Robotics Institute, where David's research is actually based, and seeing applications of the Boston Dynamics robots, and other kind of Oxford-developed technology. And then after each discussion or lab visit, students then consider problems that they can identify that could be solved by some of the innovation that they have learned about. And projects, can be individual or group. Last year, the group was given one problem to solve for their final project, each approaching the problem with slightly different solutions, designing a bike that could work on the moon. They had to think about the unique challenges as a regular bike would face in that environment and then come up with the solutions. And the project was a really great way for the students to apply what they had learned, focusing on problem solving and innovation. And then I'll also just quickly talk about pre-med. So the pre-med course is taught by a clinician and senior St. Andrews professor, Dr. Predrag Bajorek. Dr. Bajorek provides an extensive exploration of various medical fields and really integrates scientific fundamentals with very hands-on clinical practice. He's also been teaching this class for, I believe, 25 years. So his course in the past has, spanned the subject of anatomy, biochemistry, physiology, with section focused on the central nervous system, neurology, oncology, surgery, and gastroenterology. And students learn important clinical skills such as basic CPR techniques, how to measure vital signs, ECG recording, X-ray interpretation, lung function. They also learn how to suture, and sort of different neurological examinations. And so the course kind of revolves around practical patient scenarios, enabling students to develop essential clinical skills. And these scenarios encompass cases involving altered levels of consciousness, diabetic patients, trauma patients, and more. And the students are asked to create a PowerPoint presentation on patient scenarios, which contribute to their overall evaluation that they get at the end. Assignments involving anatomy, image labeling, and essay writing are thoroughly reviewed one-on-one with Dr. Bajorek as a culminating activity, and students present individual presentations as part of a mini medical conference, showcasing their knowledge and skills that were acquired throughout the course. And I'll talk a bit about our faculty on the next slide. So through his work kind of selecting and mentoring countless Rhodes Scholars, and through his work at Gilder Lehrman and his teaching posts at Columbia and Harvard, Professor Basker brings to these programs a network that includes a select and very distinguished group of academic leaders and scholars. So these are renowned researchers, authors, philosophers, and entrepreneurs who are recognized as professional trailblazers in their fields and are really excited to share with students the passion that brought them to this recognition. So the quality of faculty that we get on the program is truly unparalleled. It really brings a level of instruction and access that is just unmatched by any other program in Oxford. And it's a very unique and special opportunity that high school students just can't find elsewhere to learn from these people. And so we are really proud of the, truly outstanding faculty members who join the students in the summer. They are Rhodes, Marshall, Gates, and British Academy scholars with teaching posts at Oxford, Cambridge, Yale, the American University of Paris, Columbia, and other top institutions. And many of them have earned awards for excellence in the arts and sciences, in scholarship, and in teaching. And they just bring an incredible energy and passion for their subjects into the classroom. And many of our faculty return year after year, drawn by the opportunity to inspire and engage with our students, fostering a vibrant and transformative learning environment. They really, really love working with and building close, lasting relationships with our students. Um, and this network of prestigious individuals that Basker brings kind of extends beyond just the teaching faculty. Our deans, our junior deans, and residential life staff are just as academically accomplished. Many of them are Rhodes Scholars themselves. And then he also brings an extensive list of guest speakers and visiting experts who join both seminars and the program as a larger community to share their experience and their knowledge with the students. And as I go through some examples of faculty, you'll see that they're incredible people with a true passion for sharing their knowledge with students. And most teach university level courses at the institutions where they're based. But they say that our students are kind of their favorite age group. And so they just come back year after year. I'll just talk quickly about Michaela there. So she has taught architecture to our students in Oxford for over a decade. She holds multiple master's degrees in film, cognitive science, neuroscience, and architecture, and is currently pursuing a PhD in architecture and neuroscience from the University of Cambridge. And her course is always a favorite, and she's always a favorite teacher, as she really challenges students to dig into the myriad of ways that humans interact with their built environment. She's also very fun and high energy and a brilliant person. And then Alexander Yen, he is a PhD candidate at Oxford, having previously completed his undergrad and master's there. He has extensive experience teaching from primary school to the university level. He was elected to the Fellowship of the Royal Society of Arts as an undergrad, as a testament to his contributions to the promotion of arts, culture, and charitable endeavors, including volunteering with Project Access Hong Kong, where he worked to expand opportunities for underprivileged international students at Oxford. And so he teaches our history course, and he absolutely loves introducing students to the history of Oxford through visits, and specifically to not oft visited sites around the city. And lastly, I'll just talk really quickly about Craig Masbach. So Craig received his bachelor's degree from Princeton and his law degree from Yale, but his connection to Oxford is the 2 years that he spent there as a Caseby scholar, where he incidentally was Professor James Basker's roommate. And while in Oxford, Craig ran his first sub-4-minute mile on the Iffley Road track, which is where Sir Roger Bannister ran the history's first sub-4. And Craig has taught the sports business and media course for a number of years. He brings his 40 years of experience working in and around sports as a professional track and field athlete. He was also a TV sports commentator who covered the actually 5 Olympic Games for NBC. And then he was the CEO of USA Track and Field and was a top senior executive at Nike. And he's also taught classes at Yale Law School and Stanford, specifically on sports law and sport and society. And then between 2010 and 2020, he was Nike's vice president of sports marketing with responsibility for Greater China, Japan, and the Olympics. And so, as I mentioned earlier, our program also welcomes guest speakers to join our events, evening speaking events usually. And these might take form of a TED Talk style lecture followed by a Q&A, a panel discussion, or a lively debate or performance. Guest experts really represent a variety of fields. We've been joined previously by Olympians, journalists, renowned academics, stars from the West End and Broadway, and from Hamilton, and Pulitzer Prize winning authors as well. And so while we're still finalizing the guest list for the upcoming summer, here are just two examples of speakers who have come in the past and will be coming back for 2026. Dr. Olivia Risland is a Rhodes Scholar who received her DPhil from Oxford and is now an associate professor of biochemistry and molecular genetics at the University of Colorado School of Medicine. She has made discoveries that illuminate how genetic regulatory information is interpreted by the cell, and she has also discovered several molecular pathways that cells use to degrade gene products, which have profound implications for both developmental and diseases like cancer, where these pathways are dysregulated. And so during her time with the students, she shares her passion for science, she talks about her research, and really talks about the power of scientific curiosity. And Adam Smith is the Edward Osborne Professor of United States Politics and Political History, a professor fellow at University College. Um, so he was a student at Oxford, Sheffield, Cambridge, and Harvard. And then for 17 years, I believe, he taught at University College in London as well. And his kind of area of expertise is the political history of the United States in the 19th century. And his latest book, The Stormy Present: Conservatism and the Problem of Slavery in Northern Politics, won the Jefferson Davis Award and was a finalist for the Lincoln Prize. And he regularly presents documentaries, mainly on BBC Radio, and writes for various magazines and websites. And so he takes a very, very close interest in education policy, especially university admissions and school history teaching. And I will just briefly talk about the schedule if we move to the next. So this slide really outlines what a typical day might look like. So after breakfast at the college, which is buffet style and can accommodate pretty much any dietary restriction, students head off to their major seminar, and then lunch is had out in town in Oxford. And this is a really great opportunity to explore the city, visit a food stall in Oxford's historic covered market, or grab some sushi or a sandwich and head to one of Oxford's many green spaces for a picnic. And this is also a really great time to get together with friends from other seminars. And then after lunch, students have a bit of time to relax, maybe play some frisbee, do some laundry, or go for a quick run in Christchurch Meadow, before their minor class begins at 2 p.m. And then after that, we offer afternoon activities, which allow students to experience Oxford, joining with students from other seminars who share similar interests. So every day, faculty and staff offer kind of a menu of activities each afternoon, and it's a great opportunity to interact with Oxford and interact with instructors from other seminars as well as other students. And offerings can include punting on the river, high tea, watercolor lessons in the botanical gardens, playing sports on the green, or a visit to the famous Bodleian Library. And so they get a very diverse menu each day that's kind of providing all sorts of different opportunities and are also tailored to student specific interests, so they can kind of suggest things as well. And then dinner is held at the colleges in the dining hall. And then students also select from a variety of evening activities and events, maybe a guest speaker event or theater and concert performances, which happen regularly in Oxford, historical walking tours led by our faculty, all sorts of different events. And if we move on, So engagement with the program and with kind of opportunities for learning extend far beyond the academic seminars. So in these activities, we have both afternoon, evening activities, and then we also have weekend events and excursions that are socially and culturally enriching and are really designed to foster a greater sense of community and build relationships with peers and faculty across the program. And so we have a robust residential life team who both coordinate all extracurricular programming and uphold an atmosphere of support for each and every student, and also kind of accountability and student participation. So opportunities for exploration are highly structured and are often led by a program staff member. And here you'll see punting, which I was describing earlier, which is very popular. It's kind of an iconic Oxford activity. And for those who don't know, a punt is a long boat that operates kind of like a gondola. And then we have, afternoon tea, visit to the Ashmolean Museum with the art history professor. And then on the weekends, we visit Stonehenge, Blenheim Palace, and visit Shakespeare's birthplace of Stratford-upon-Avon and stay for an evening play at the Royal Shakespeare Company. So we offer multiple opportunities for students to attend various events, all structured around the college admissions process as well. And many of our students join these programs because they're curious about what it would be like to go to school at one of these universities. But we also offer, Q&A sessions about the college admissions process with current undergrad and graduate students and Professor Basker, and others who hold a particular expertise in this area. And, we have roundtable discussions about the admissions process that are kind of designed to help our students prepare for it. And our faculty and staff are, as well as Professor Basker, are always eager to talk with students who inquire for advice or guidance in this particular area. And, sometimes they'll keep in touch with students after the program, occasionally all the way through a student's college admissions process, matriculation, graduation, and then on through their professional and academic careers. And if we move on to the next. So as I mentioned earlier, so the major courses meet in the mornings, and then after that and on Sundays, we have excursions that students can sign up for. So we go to Stratford-upon-Avon to go explore the birthplace of William Shakespeare and go to the Royal Shakespeare Company. And then we also have options like visiting Stonehenge or taking a short bus ride to Blenheim Palace, UNESCO World Heritage Site, and was also the ancestral home of Winston Churchill. And faculty and staff are also occasionally leading themed trips to London to visit some of London's most fascinating historical sites with, maybe a history instructor, or experience London through a literary lens with the creative writing instructor. And so these themed excursions kind of allow students to explore the destination outside of Oxford in a way that is kind of academically focused, but also a lot of fun. And then for students who stay for 2 sessions, we also offer excursions and events in the in-between days. So in the past, we've gone on kind of special trips where we've gone to the Cotswolds, to Bath, and also ventured into London. And if we move on to the next, I think we can open it up for questions. And Jim, if you want to add anything that I missed. And I can talk a little bit about that, or Andrew and I can talk a little bit about the application process as well. So the application is all online. It's very simple. You just go to the website right there and click apply. You will create a login that kind of has your basic information and how to contact you. And then you select your program of choice and your seminars of choice, or your top 2 choices. And then to hold space on the program, there is a $700 payment, which is a $200 application fee and a $500 tuition deposit that will go towards your final invoice. And once you've held space, you have time to complete the remainder of the application. You don't have to worry about your space in a particular seminar or in the program going away. So you have a few months to complete that. We ask that you get it in by March 15. But the remainder of the application consists of a short personal statement where you tell us a bit about who you are, why you want to come on this program, what kind of specific things you want to get out of it, and then also two teacher references. And those are just a form where you put in your teacher's contact information and we reach out to them for you to to track down that information. So you don't have to chase after the teachers because they're very busy, and get that yourself. And then once that's all in, assuming you're accepted, your kind of portal that you used for your application kind of opens up and becomes what we call a digital locker. And that just has tons of information, travel information, packing lists, information about your teachers, reading lists, all sorts of things to get ready for your program.
I think having worked in schools and being a parent of three children myself, one of the main concerns of the parents who are listening here today would be pastoral care and health issues, I think. So I think I'd like to take a minute or two to address the fact that students are met at Heathrow Airport. They're not left to their own devices to find their way to Oxford. They're put on a bus and traveled to Oxford, to Corpus Christi College, and signed in. So
Yes.
that's the first point I wanted to make. And the second is that the program used to have one, possibly, I think it might even have two practicing physicians who are GPs or general practitioners for the program. So and students don't go to the doctors alone. They're escorted by a member of staff, usually a dean of students, and so that the communication between the health professional, the student, and the program is all happening live as it is experienced. I mean, we had pretty serious medical situations while I was there, where when a girl needed to have surgery, and her mother was prepared to hop on a flight, and the students saying, "All taken care of, Mom. No need to come. We, here, meet my the person who's going to sit with me, who'll be there before the surgery and be there after the surgery," and everything just went beautifully. The mother stayed in Australia, and the student was just fine, and actually returned to the program in a remarkable amount of time. I think it was probably 2 days after surgery. She was back on the scene in the program. So I mean, all of those things are taken care of by the program. So you needn't worry about those. The other thing I think wanted to mention was that the students really do have a lot of spare time and a lot of time to make choices for how they want to use that spare time. I mean, Becca was mentioning all the things around offer, but students have to step up. Students have to engage in the program and in the co-curricular activities that go along with the program. So they should come prepared to do that. And they will find that there a whole world of activities and academic and sporting and entertainment activities opens up to them. Many of these things they'd never dreamed of. So certainly it's important that while there is spare time, and there's certainly time for students to engage with other students and other members of faculty and make friends and experience Oxford alone at their own level. There's also many opportunities for them, but they have to engage. This is definitely a program for highly motivated, academically successful students who are wanting to engage with the world and experience things that they'd never see or experience here in Australia. So,
Yes.
so tap them on the shoulder and say, "Go," and don't say no to anything. Well, maybe we should restrain that a little bit, but you know what I mean. Look for opportunities and take them wherever you can.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jim. There was one question about the dates. So that slide is back up. And definitely visit the oxfordacademia.com website so you can see a full list of the program offerings and locations. As Becca mentioned before, the sessions do line up pretty nicely for those who are interested in doing multiple sessions.
Yes.
I think if I could add to this, reaching out and being interactive with the program while you're there is monumentally important. But equally important is reaching out to your teachers and your school here in Australia, getting work that you are going to be absent for, and making certain that that work is completed. The easiest way to do it, and you're probably not going to like this, but the easiest way to do it is to do it before you go. So you'll have, if you check out the dates, you should have at least a week or sometimes two of holidays before you go. It's important that you engage with your teachers. You're responsible for all of this as students in this program. You engage with your teachers. You find out what's going to be missed. You get the work done before you go, and get handed in, and go away with a clear conscience that the only thing you have to do is focus on the Oxford experience. So that's a huge piece of advice for students to engage while you're in the program and engage before you go.
Great. Thank you, Jim. And that just reminded me, on the note of travel, so once you are accepted into the program, we work with you to help you figure out your travel plans. And we make sure that those are shared with us and that we're on the same page as to how your student plans on getting to and from the program. And then, as Jim said, right when they land at the airport and come through the doors, our staff are there waiting for them. They're tracking their flights, waiting for them to come through the doors. And they meet up with everyone and bring them directly to the college, get them checked in, bring them to their rooms, all of the things. And the same goes for departure. So our staff, make sure everyone's up in the morning on the bus to go to the airport. They help them get checked in, and they'll wait at the airport until every student is in the air and on their way home. And as Jim was saying, in addition to the faculty, so there's Jim Basker, who's the academic director, but then we also have a program director who's really overseeing all elements of the program. Our director has been directing programs for us for 34 years. So he has a lot of experience specifically in Oxford. And then within that, there's a very large residential life team, which is comprised of a dean of students at each college. And then each dean has a team of junior deans and residential life staff whose entire job is devoted to the students. So they're really involved in everything from students' medical needs, allergies, to really just if they're enjoying their time there, if they're making friends. They're very, very hands-on. They're also the dean of each college is the one who's communicating with parents. So if you have a question, you reach out to them, you give them a call, they can help you with anything during the program. And then if, your student comes down with a cold, they're telling you, anything more than a sniffle, they're letting you know. Or if a student, arrives with a medication that is different than the one that we have in our files, they'll call you and clarify. Or if you want the student to go to a doctor to get something checked out, they'll do that and communicate with you the whole time. But they're really, really involved. They know the students so well. They're living with them. They are really involved in student life, kind of on an individual basis. So every night at the end of the evening, students come back to the college to check in. There's an initial check-in kind of at the college on the green when students are kind of congregating ahead and hanging out to make sure that they're inside the college for the night. Then everyone heads up to their rooms, and a few minutes later, the staff and deans individually go knock on every single student's doors and have a little check-in one-on-one with them just to find out, how's your day going? How's your seminar? Is there something that you want to do but you haven't been able to do yet? So that individual check-in happens every single night from the moment they arrive to when they leave. And yeah, that pastoral care is something that we're really known for.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Yep.
All right. If we have no further questions, and Jim, if there's nothing else that you think, oh wait, I just see a
Just
question.
for the purpose of clarity for parents and students, if we could just address the next step. So when they walk away, what should they do from now?
Yes, so I would say go to our website, take a look at the program, take a look at the seminars, the dates, and see which set of dates would make sense for you, but also what seminars you think that you would like for your major and minor. And then you just click the apply button at the top corner, and start your application. If you have any questions, you can email us, you can call us. All of that information is provided there. And getting your application in and specifically holding space in the program is probably the top priority, just because we keep the seminars small, they do fill quite quickly, and we do cut them off when they reach a certain size. So if you have a seminar that you think that you want, I would encourage you to hold space sooner rather than later, to lock that in. And then if you change your mind later, you can always move to a different seminar as long as there's space in whatever you want to move to. And you do have until if between now and March 15, maybe you've held space, but something came up and you actually can't do the program, you have until March 15 to change your mind. And if you do that, you get everything back less the $200 application fee.
Right. And a question did come in, Becca. So just addressing the grade levels and how they're mixed into seminars.
Yes. So the program is for students who are currently in grades 9 through 12 at the time when they're applying. And yes, the seminar size is about 10 to 15 students. So we do not group those by grades. So it will be an assortment of grade levels in each seminar. And it's almost always a pretty wide assortment and also a mix of gender. And the only thing is, in the dorms, the students are separated by gender identity, but we also group them a little bit by grade. So we'll have kind of the 10th grade girls together and the 9th grade boys together. So in the housing, it's a little bit separated that way, but the seminars are mixed. All right, I think that is all we have. So yes, please check out our website, and again, click apply to start your application and hold space, and reach out anytime if you have any questions or just want to learn more.